while also recording. Hey, this is stream number 45. Figuring out how to script my... What did I say? Figuring out how to script my library into Lua. So I got a library in Rust. And right now I'm just representing two aspects of it. One is this parser API. Another one is an individual format that the parser knows about. And I'm implementing mlua user data for both, adding two fields. So like if you have a format, you can ask it what its name is. And if you have a parser, you can ask it what formats it knows about. You can also make a new parser, giving it raw formats. It makes a lexer to lexically analyze that raw input, passing a token stream to the parser, which adds formats. At the end of the last stream this morning, I thought about these two lines really should be broken up, divided from the first and the last line here. So maybe that's the first thing I do tonight. The idea would be we would have two methods. This would actually allow me to test that we can add a method to a parser. So if we had like add formats, and this takes self, and it doesn't do this new or the map. It just tells the parser or self.0 to parse the new formats. Oh, it's inside a ref cell, so we gotta borrow. Parse is a mutable function, so we'll borrow mutably. And then I gotta, I think, map the error. Yeah. Coerce it. There we go. Only... Hold on. Parse returns the result. Oh. Yeah, we don't want a self. We're not going to have any result. Yeah, exactly. So, and then new doesn't actually take formats anymore. So we don't need to do this. We just need to do... I guess we don't need to do this elaborate map thing, right? So I can just take the inner part and put it as outer, and then parse new. That's what we put inside this new. And then let it be done, right? This is always okay. Can always create a new parser. And too many parentheses. Okay. So this is the Lua front end of that. I'm going to have two of these, right? Oh, this is for free functions. For methods, we do something different, right? Yeah. Okay, so I need like a method called like add formats. It's not a field. It's a method. So methods dot add. Well, we're putting it inside a ref cell, right? So I think I just do add a method. Add formats. Okay, the method takes a Lua interpreter, a reference to our type, and then a multi-argument. So that's Lua. and this, and args, which I suppose that we're putting into a tuple, right? So I think I'm going to do a destructuring for that. Okay, so yeah, there's the destructuring. And we already have a parser. That's the this.0. So it should be this.0.borrowMute.parse. Did I already delete it? I think I might have. No, it's right here. Oh, I see. I made it. I made it a method, so I can just call it from here. So this dot add formats, raw formats, and then we'll do the mapping of the error. So like this. Okay. The trait from Lua is not satisfied for string required for. Oh, I suppose that means this raw formats has to be a string. So we can do this. Do I have to be explicit? To just say string? Looks like I do. Okay, and then what about this one? Same thing? Well, hold on. For this, we don't pass anything. And this is always okay. This is infallible, right? Actually, why am I having a result? This should just be self now. We'll let this one do the okay. No arguments. So I'm not using the arguments. We'll just make it unit since it's required. Okay, there we go. So I have to be explicit about the type here, right? I can't leave that off because it can't infer it. I suppose that's okay. The alternative would be to move that into here, right? Prefer to put it here, actually. Okay, so now creating the parser and adding the formats to it are independent. So let's update the Lua. And while we do that, let's do a cargo build. I can hear my cat snoring on the other side of the desk. It's kind of cute. Anyway, parser, and then it would be parser.add formats. Let's see if it works. Hold on. That won't work because it can't open the file, and I can't put the stage in front, can I? Then it can't find the bridge because I have it in the stage. So let's go to the stage and do that. User data is not of expected type. Bad argument self. To parser. Oh, I know. It's a method. There. There we go. So we're able to parse stuff now. Okay, now let's comment this out. I forgot that Lua comments a dash dash. Let's test this by like adding two. formats one after the other. So first we'll say raw formats is foo. And then we'll print, and then we'll do another one. So let's print divider here. So we'll add a bar after that, add the formats, and then print them again. There we go. We have foo, divider, bar, and foo. So it works. Okay. I'm thinking to make it easier to run scripts. What if I made a shell script that like sets the working directory correctly so that the require will work always, no matter what directory we're in? Because I would much rather run it off of this level here. Only problem is that I'm not that great of a shell writer. So I'm going to have to look this up. It would be that I want to find our like relative path from wherever we are to the home directory. If there's a cargo command that told us that, or maybe a git command. Well, I'm not in a git repository on this virtual machine. Let's ask ChatGPT. I'm asking ChatGPT, is there a Rust cargo command to get the relative path from the current, okay, the Nightshade Dude and the Epic Unknown. It's not bash, it's shh. Doesn't pwd give you current working directory? Yeah, but then like, how do I find the relative path to the workspace I'm in? Like, you would think that there'd be a cargo command for that. So is there a Rust cargo command to get the relative path from the current working directory to the directory, to the root directory of the current workspace? Current workspace. There is no direct cargo command to retrieve the relative path in the current working directory to the root directory of the current workspace. However, you can achieve this in Rust code and the standard env. You can achieve this using Rust code and the standard env module. Okay, I'm looking at the code that it generated. Okay, there's a cargo manifest directory that we can get the variable for. And then we can join the current directory, the manifest directory to the current directory, and then strip the prefix and print the relative path. Huh. In this code, we're using the env var os function to check if the cargo manifest dir environment variable is set. This variable is automatically set by cargo and contains the directory where the cargo toml file, the current package, is located. We then use current dir to get the working directory. Set to compile it with Rust C. Okay. Yeah, it's not that great. What do you mean by workspace? Literally it would be projects DataDisintegrator. So if I was to run, it's where the cargo toml file. So I could do this manually, right? Just looking for the cargo toml file that contains the word workspace in it. So I could have like changed the directory to the ingestion, for example. And there's also a cargo toml file there, but that is not the root one, because if you go in there, it just says package. An alternative would just be walk the directory chain up and remember which directories had a cargo tomlet and just look at the highest leveled one, and that would be DataDisintegrator, because projects doesn't have a cargo toml, and my home directory doesn't have a cargo toml. But yeah, it's just more work than I want to do in the shell. Shells are hard. So I'll just always run from the stage directory, because that's where I put the symbolic link to the bridge build that I want to do. And then that's also where I have the GIF file and GIF format and my test Lua. I think I'll just always run from here. Okay, so what do I want to do next? I want to actually ingest the bits and get out the data component. So I need another module, right? So parser gives me ASTs. No, parser gives me formats. And we have the parser, the formats are state in the parser, right? And we can borrow them from the parser. That's what this does. We just get the keys and clone them right now, but the idea would be the ingestion library also borrows them to do actual parsing. So actually the way it works is we borrow the formats, and then we use the ingestion library's API, which give it those borrowed formats, and then we can attach callbacks, and then we tell it to ingest something. And what we have to give are the unparsed data component and the arguments. In the unparsed data component, we have to fill in the format that we want. So the main for ingest does this. So here's where it makes a parser. Here's where it parses the formats. It borrows the formats out. Then it makes a bitstream file. Oh yeah, this is the other thing it has to do. It's got to fill in the format, and then it has to provide the origin of the data component. So that's this bitstream, right? And we have to make a bitstream subset that initially contains all of the bitstream with no limit. If we wanted to, we could limit it, but we don't have to. And the bitstream here I'm using is from a file. So bitstream file is an adapter for file. So all of that's ready. We tell it ingest with these formats, with these callbacks, ingest the composite, which we've set up as there's a component and arguments. I'm using composite and component interchangeably, really. It should be. Maybe at this point, I don't need to have these together in a structure. I could have passed them separately, right? Bitstream is streaming the file contents. Yeah, so if this is the format of the file, and then this is the file to be parsed with that format, it basically does a one-to-one matching and constructs a data component tree out of it. So the root node will be all the bits for GIF, which would be the entire file. And then the first child will be header, which will be the first 6 bytes, because header has 24-bit signature and version. So that'll be like the header part will be represented by 6 bytes, and then you'll have logical screen, and then the majority of the bytes will be data blocks. So with these 2 input files, we get back out a data tree with a root node and 4 child nodes, right? And everything about, like everything the parser could figure out about it is stored in that data component. So it's all this stuff. Whether there was an error parsing it, what its format was, what children it has, that's how we do the tree. Where it got the bits from to parse it, what value determined it to have, and then if it was in a loop, all the iterations of the component. So it's like sort of like there's a root component that doesn't really have a value, or if it has a value, it's like it's an array value. And if you want to look at the individual pieces, so the individual loops, you go into iterations. So this is what we get out of parsing, and as opposed to what we get in, which is which is the original file and then the format that describes it. So yeah, that's what we're doing in the ingest in the main. Right, so we get the path to the format file, this one right here, first, and then we make we read it all into memory, and then we make a lexer with it, which is transformable into an iterator of tokens, right? Then we take a new parser and we tell a parser to parse using that lexer. So it turns it into an iterator, gets the tokens out. So parse now has the abstract syntax trees, which are the formats. So we borrow them, open the data file, wrap it with a bitstream object, erase the type down to the trait object that we need to put into this bitstream subset, and then we combine it with where we wanted to store the output, basically, and what we know about it so far. We only know its format, and we know where it is in the bitstream. And then we say, okay, make a new ingestion with those formats we borrowed from the parser, attach some callbacks, and then tell it to ingest that composite. Most of the work, of course, is done in here. So it'll call us back either if there's an error or if it parsed apart. So that's what happens when I run it like this. Hopefully it still works. It's been a few days. I guess I haven't actually built the parser to be run. I think I just built it in the test configuration, right? Oh, can't find it because I have to go one level up. There we go. So each of these lines is like a callback because here's where we actually log it, right? So every time we get a callback, we print out, and it's basically when it goes a step, whenever it executes a part statement. So when it gets header, and then when it does the signature and version in the header, that's why we're getting these out. And it's what's the kind of traversal where you get the leaf nodes first and then you get the parent? So it's getting the leaf node, which is signature first, and then version, and then header overall. And then it descends into logical screen descriptor, logical screen width, and then the elements of that, which is LSB and MSB. And that then it prints out that LSB, then the MSB, and then the width overall. Yeah. So it's that kind of traversal. Depth first? Yeah. We get the callbacks in depth first order. The parsing happens in order, but we're getting the callbacks depth first because it waits until it has the entire node before it tells us what it is, right? If it were to say the header first, before it parsed the signature and version, it wouldn't know that it was 6 bytes long. So it only knows the header 6 bytes long when it actually parses all of the header. So yeah, depth first. So all of that happens in this ingest call and callbacks. So if I want to do this in Lua, it has to be everything from borrowing the formats down through ingestion has to be in one Lua call, right? Because this actually returns something, where is it? Oh, I guess we could do into formats. That doesn't borrow the formats. Formats borrows, right? Also, when we make this ingestion, it's borrowing the formats. So format tells it, for example, header 6 bytes, and after ingesting 6 bytes, it calls back. Yeah. So you'll get a callback for every part. So signature is a part of a header, version's part of a header, and header itself is a part of a GIF. So you get a callback for signature, and then version, and then the header overall. So the parts can be nested, right? It's a composite. And these leaf nodes, they're leaf nodes because this format is built in. There are certain built-in formats that I have. If I search for S as a string, you'll find, I call them elementals in the C++ version. In Rust, I just have them as, they're the first things we search for when we're trying to match the format, right? So we have 5 elemental formats: unsigned integer, signed integer, decimal, which is floating point, string, and bit. Bit is a degenerate form of UI. It's a UI with 1 bit. And yeah, the fall through case is where it's a user defined format, and that's where like it has like that user defined format needs to be also known to the ingestion. So so when we see header, it looks for this and then like recurses into it. So like kind of like the there's like a stack, right? A call stack. There will be a component stack in the end because header is going to be a part of GIF and signature is going to be part of header. The component stack will be as deep as the call stack was to actually parse it. And we got to go way back because I jumped around a lot talking about this. Okay, so because this ingestion takes a borrow, that tells me right away that we have to do all this in one Lua call. We can't like have ingestion can't be represented by a Lua object. So I think we'll just have a top level function called ingest, and it'll take a parser and callbacks and the composite, which is a combination of the which format to parse it as and the bitstream. Should the bitstream be a Lua object? In order for it to be a Lua object, well, we have to be able to give it, to put it in a data component with arguments, right? Well, actually, we need to put it into a data component. That is right, well, inside bitstream subset, which is right here, and that is a ref cell. So yeah, okay, so if we had a Lua object that had one of these in it, we get it out and clone the reference counter, and then we could then store it into a bitstream subset. So yeah, the bitstream object could be a Lua object, right? A Lua wrapper for a Rust object, really. I don't think it can be a pure, you can't make Rust call, you can't make a Lua object implement a Rust trait, probably. So fundamentally it needs to be a Rust object, but we could pass it from one Lua call to another just by digging into its user data and fetching it and then cloning it. So yeah, so then in this bridge, I already have too many types. I should break this up, right? So there should be like parser. We'll have a mod parser. And just to make it easy, I'll copy paste this into there. And then we'll delete everything but the parser. So delete that. Let's keep that function, keep that impl, keep that and keep that and keep that, and then delete everything else, which is just format. Which means I probably want to cut that because I want to make another file called format to paste, right? Okay, and then I probably don't need to hold on to the parser right now, as this is just a demonstration that we can get to the formats and get to the actual format object in Rust to get to the name. But we already have the name, so technically I didn't need to do all this stuff. It's like, why look it up by name just to get its name, right? So mod format. So I think I just delete this, because that's what format had, right? This part. That has format in it, and this is the parser, right? So parser is needs to be public. So that we import it. I can't import it. Why can I not import it? Is it because it's the same name? Okay, we don't need table. That it might be because it's the same name, right? So let's call this one factory. Or I guess new. Yeah, let's call that one new. And then in here, it's still, well, if I call it new, can I import it now? Yes. So I actually want to import it, but rename it. So use parser new. Actually, why don't I just dequalify it? Parser new, right? So let's fix format. So shared parser should be something we need to export from parser. So pub type. And from the lib then we'll say like use parser, shared parser, so that we can import it from here, from the crate. Actually, shouldn't I be able to import it? Oh yeah, yeah. I should only use it here if we're going to re-export it. So we're not going to re-export it. But hold on, let me fix the errors first. Parser is private. Is it because parser new returns a parser? Yeah, okay, so then parser has to be public. Okay. But the new and the add formats can be private. Keep things private until they can't be anymore is a good rule. Okay, then we're removing. Okay, cool. So then I'm making an ingest function now, right? So from lib here, we're gonna add another file ingest. So this would be ingest. So we're gonna have a mod ingestion. So create a file called ingestion.rs, and like parser, it's going to have a top level public function called ingest. We need Lua. This should return the same thing that we get from the API level of ingestion, so of ingest. So that's data component. So it's infallible, but Lua has to always have a Lua result. So we're going to have our own version of data component that is going to be the Lua wrapper around a data component, right? So the arguments, though, here's where it gets tricky, right? So we need a parser. Yes. And we need a format, which is a string. And we need the input, which is the bit stream. So we'll make another Lua wrapper for a bit stream. Don't have that yet. Is that all I need? Formats we get from the parser, right? And oh, we'll need the callbacks, part callback and error callback, right? We'll have to find out how Lua callbacks work. Actually, I think the way it is that we would want a Lua function that we can just call a Lua function on those, right? And then ingest is a composite which has the, we'll make one of these, right? From the bit stream. And okay, there could also be arguments. So how do I want to make, maybe have a table for the arguments? Now I'm wondering, like, if, can we make some of these optional? I wish I could give these names too, but I can't. I guess I could give them names here. Parser, format, bitstream, and args. Well, ingestion args. Composite component args, ingestion args. Like, can I make this an option? And then if we get a nil, it's none. If it's a table, it's some table. I should test that, right? Let's assume we can, and we'll test that theory. So I need two more wrappers, data component and bitstream. Let's say we had them though. So it would be, I can just probably just copy what I had in the ingest, not this one. Main ingest again. This stuff, right? Actually, how does that ingest work? How do we get it back? Oh, it's the return value, and I'm just ignoring it. Okay, so in the Lua, we're not going to ignore it. We're going to make a wrapper for it. So that means I'll want to say like let data component equal that, and then we'll return okay data component. We don't need to share this one, right? So I could just put the data component in it. Right. So, oh yeah, we need the callbacks too. So there's so many arguments. I'm wondering if I should just make it a table. And like some of them I want to be optional, but like if like we put the, let's say we put the callback here, the part callback. Actually, it's just going to be a Lua function, right? Lua function, I think. Yeah. That means it's required, but if I wanted to make the callbacks optional, I'd put option in front. But then you'd have to like, if you wanted to have no callbacks but have arguments, you have to do nil nil. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. Okay, lots of arguments. So this is part callback, and this is error callback. Got a lot of arguments now. Lua result. Okay. So let's assume that this bit stream is a wrapper. So the way that this would work, this takes this borrows that handle, which is RC ref cell, right? So let's just assume that we can get it out of that by just doing bitstream.0. Okay, and then this we have. This we also have. So it goes in through here, right there, and comes back out the return value, right? So ingestion comes from that library. So formats would be parser dot zero dot let's just tell it what type it is. Actually, it knows the type, right? So why won't it let me do parser dot zero here? It should let, oh, because it needs to be public. Okay, well, let's have a public method called formats. And let's make that, this one's builder pattern, right? Hold on. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Yeah, so it takes itself. So then I would end that and say if part callback is not none. Or if let sum, right? Then data component equals data component dot with part callback sum box new, and then we put the function up. I guess we can make the Lua. Oh, this would actually need to call that back, right? How do we call a function, a Lua function from Rust? Don't we have to have an interpreter? Good thing to look up, right? Function. Oh, you just do call. So it must have like some shared reference to the interpreter in it. So you call it with arguments to get a result. Okay, easy. So we would just call it. So we get the path and we get some component and we do part call. So I need to do a move here to move the part callback in here. The Rust is going to own the Lua component, Lua function. Rust is going to own the Rust callback is going to own the Lua callback. Call. Okay, and the args is a multi-arg, right? So I'll do a tuple path.clone and part. If it's only borrowing it, shoot. We have to make an owned value that owns that reference. So maybe I'll make I'll have some other thing like data borrowed data component. part. Okay, then, and I don't really care what the Lua result is, right? Okay. Then with the error callback, a similar thing, right? Only the data value is owned, and we're going to have a wrapper for that too. So some box new move error callback call path.clone date just value, because that, oh wait a minute, no, this has to be, this is a ingestion data value, and this is an ingestion data component. That's important because we're going to make our own Lua wrappers for these things. So this we just have to make a 2 Lua for it. Or I can just say data value that, right? Okay, and then we terminate that and do the same kind of thing for if there's some error callback. Then with error, then data component equals data component with error callback. No comma. Actually, that's not the problem, is it? There. Okay, and then it's data component dot ingest composite is the data component again. Actually, that's not data component. That's ingestion. So it's data component equals this. Because the composite has the data component in it right there. Okay. So then, yeah, there's no name for that. I just take this and put it there. Okay. Lots of wrappers to make. Oh, let's first make this formats thing. So that should be not too bad. So we need to make a public function called formats. Borrow format. This has to be the actual formats, right? So parser formats. No, AST formats. Oh, I don't have a type for that. It's just hash map, right? From string to AST format. So that's self.0.borrow.formats. Do I have to? I remember the trait user data. Oh, wrong place. It's like, you don't belong here. Put that here. Okay, so now we have the formats. It's borrowed into the ingestion, which is fine because we're just borrowing it for the duration of this function call. Okay, so I need wrappers for bitstream, borrowed data component, data value, owned data component. Okay. Let's do bitstream first. Bitstreamy. What's the problem here? Type annotations needed. Say what? Oh, because this probably isn't fallible. No, it is. Probably because we don't have a type for that yet. All right, so we'll fix that. Get back to that. We have a mod bitstream. We don't have anything in it though. Basically, it needs to look like a parser, right? So it has to be some type. Yeah, it's gonna be kind of like this, right? What's the minimum I can get away with? Bitstream. That's empty. And then implement it for that. And I don't need to have any fields or methods yet. It just needs to be public and import user data. Okay, so that should satisfy this if we import it. From the crate. Okay, and so now this type is fully specified. Why does it still need a trait bound? Is not satisfied. Oh, okay, so I guess option isn't supported. Oh no, data component. It shouldn't be data component. It should be yeah, we don't want that one should not be imported. Because this needs to be the Lua wrapper. And this one is not the Lua wrapper, so I would say ingestion directly there. Okay. So we need to have a data component type. Let's do that next. So data component rs mod data component. And I'm just going to copy the very minimum we can get away with to make Lua happy. Data component. So here we would say you import it from the crate. Now the lib should be, it's not happy still? Is it the options it doesn't like? Parser, string, bitstream, is it the options that it doesn't like? Let's test the theory that it's the options it doesn't like. So that would be, let's remove these options. Okay, it's still not okay? Parser string, bitstream, function, table. We can't get that from a Lua multi? I don't get it. Why not? I don't know. Do I just delete these until it works? So what, can it just take a function and a table? Yes. Okay, then can it take the bitstream? No. Doesn't like that. Okay, so it didn't implement the from Lua for it, right? But I thought implementing user data did that. Oh, no, it doesn't. Well, shoot, how do we get it? There should be a blanket implementation. Implementation of into Lua is automatically provided. From Lua needs to be implemented manually. From Lua. Why does it need to be implemented manually? I'm being asked a question. Hold on. What's the question? Sure. Bowl. I was being asked if I want mac and cheese. Okay, so we have to implement from Lua ourselves. That's a yes. But why? Because from the Lua should just see, does it have the meta table? And if so, recover the user data, right? Yeah, yes also to the mac and cheese, yes. Definitely a yes. Maybe there's a section of it in here. User data. I don't get it. Owned any user data. Available on crate feature unstable and non-crate feature send only. For user data ref. User data ref. What is that? Immutably borrowed value from any user data. Back. Oh, let's ask ChatGPT. How do you implement from Lua for a user data type in mLua? That should be enough context, right? To implement from Lua for a user-defined type in the mLua crate, you will need to implement the trait for your type. From Lua requires you to define how to convert from a Lua value into your rest type. Here's an example of how you can do it. So this is struct my type. Oh, it's building. It's the construction from some other type, like an integer or something. So it's like type conversion. So that if I want to using mLua, if I want to pass a use an object implementing the user data trait back to a Lua function, back to a Rust function I've exported to Lua. let's say using Lua, I want to pass an object implementing the user data trait back to a Rust function I exported to Lua, but what's complaining? But the Rust compiler complains that my object doesn't implement from Lua. How do I implement it? Okay. Okay, I think it's going to give me a good answer this time. To implement from Lua for a custom type that implements the user data trait in mLua, you'll need to define how to convert a Lua value back to your custom type. This requires some knowledge of the internals of your custom type and how it should be reconstructed from Lua value. Here's an example of how you might do it. And they say there's an if let mLua value user data ud equals Lua value, then you do borrow ud.borrow : my type clone, assuming my type implements clone, else error mLua error from Lua conversion error. Okay. They actually gave me a main program and everything. Should I just copy this? Copy code. We can look at it together. File new paste. This is what ChatGPT gave me. So it said to implement it this way. It said you can do a borrow as my type. I guess it did the clone, but I don't really need to clone if I do a reference to self, right? It's just borrow. So this is the key part. This is what we need to do. But it's kind of cool. It gave me a whole main function and everything. Yeah, so it made a value of my type and put it in the globals, and then the Lua they have like and then they have like the my function, and it like made a function, my function, which is where? Right down here, that it recovers the type. This is like the receiver, right? So when it gets the global and it sends it back into Rust, the receiver does this to Lua error to recover the type. So that part actually I'm not needing to do because I just use a tuple with my type directly. It's just that I need, so this is if I did it manually, I guess, this to Lua error would use this, right? Okay, so let me try this. See, ChatGPT, you're wonderful. So let's just reduce this to bitstream to start with. And so this is only complaining about bitstream, because if I remove bitstream, now this is okay with it. So it's just a signature of the function. In fact, I could like just comment all this out for now and say it's to do. Just to get rid of the errors, right? So if the only error is that bitstream can't be converted, looks like we have another error. Cannot reference about temporary value returns a value referencing data owned by the, oh shoot. I can't do that. Why? So because of the borrow? That's not good. Can I return what this returns? A ref. I can't because it then calls a formats out of it, right? Okay, where did I need that for? That was here, right? To get it back out. Okay, so So yeah, I can't actually put that in a ref cell. It doesn't. It's not compatible. Hey there, 715209. Once I put the formats for parser, once I put it in this ref cell, now it can be shared, and the only way to get to it is borrow, and then I can't vend out references to the formats of that parser. So I can't do this shared parser thing. The only reason I did it was to just test that I could attach it to, like I could make a formats. I had like a format Lua wrapper. I think we just won't have this, right? Everything that, so for parser, I think we'll have to go through parser if we want to get any details of a format. So I'm just going to delete this. Goodbye, format. Move to trash. It was nice knowing you. Get rid of format. So 715209, Nightshade dude, you've been here. 715209, I'm writing a Lua wrapper for my ingestion library, which I got working. I don't know if you've seen this, but here's a input file, a GIF file, right? And then using the format for the GIF file, I can parse it all the way to the end. It's faster than C++ implementation. It parses every single byte and makes a composite data structure, like a tree, mirroring the format of the file. So there's a root node GIF, right? And it has a child header, and that header has a child signature and version and all that. It's all working. You haven't seen it working? Now you have. So I can pretty much toss the C++ implementation now, because I have achieved parity. Not only achieved parity with the C++ implementation, I also did some improvements in the grammar which are not backwards compatible. So I can't even run. If I try to run the old one, I get a syntax error. So you had to use the parse data. That's what I'm trying to do. I want to use it in Lua. So the idea is to make scripts that can well, I haven't written the part. This is just the parser part. I want to be able to write scripts that can run the ingestion. That's what we were trying to do. Where was I? Right here. I have it all commented out, but that we can run the ingestion and attach like Lua callbacks to Rust, and also get back the output. And with this output, if I wrap the data component with a Lua type, then we can walk the data structure. One thing I'm worried about though is who owns the data component, and then how do I walk the structure? Because Lua objects are always like cloned. So am I going to run into the same problem I just ran into with formats, where something has to own the data component and then something else can walk it? It's like maybe the data component needs to stay owned by something else. Like maybe ingest is a function on some larger Lua object that it owns the data component, and then it vends out some kind of view. Because you can make a Lua wrapper for a reference count, right? So I could put this. Actually, that's the solution, right? The root data component we'll put that into a ref cell, RC ref cell, and no, I can't do that. There's a problem, right? Hold on, let me think about this. I'm gonna run into this inevitably again, right? Data component. So a component can have a hash map of components, right? So if we have a Lua wrapper for one component, and then we ask it, give me your list of children, how do I vend out component without being able to clone it? Don't I have to like extend the lifetime of the component to static lifetime by putting it in a box maybe. And then everything is a static reference. So all of the things that are wrapped by Lua then would be static references. And there would be an overall like box that's leaked to get. Well, no, you don't want to leak it. It would have to be the same lifetime as the Lua interpreter itself, I think. I don't know how to do this yet. If I made component clonable, it would work. The problem is the data composite structure is huge. So cloning at near the root node is very expensive. Wait, I did this in C++. Maybe I should just see what I did there. So I think I've already solved this, but it was years ago. It was in the script host, right? I hope I didn't use raw pointers. It'd be funny if I did. Let's see, what did I do? So we have a script component. That's the class, but what's its implementation? Oh, okay, I see how this works. Use standard shared pointers. So probably when we index and look at a children, right, there's the and then yeah, when I get the was it pairs next, here we go. So here it's descending into the hash map sort of, right? Only in this one in C++ it is a vector. I made it a vector for some reason. I guess I didn't care about the efficiency of lookups. So it's this keyed child. Actually, the secret's right there, right? So, okay, so I need to do this. I might have to do the same thing then for Rust. Instead of it being an owned component, it's a reference counted component, right? So this might need to be an RC component. And same thing here too, right? Strager, how are you doing? Did you figure out your certificate issue? I'm looking at this composite structure and wondering how I'm going to adapt this to Lua right now. I know it is a huge trade. This is where you can find the Rust ASMR, that's correct. Although we're mixing Lua with our Rust today. So I'm trying to like figure out how to make a Lua wrapper for a huge data tree. So component, it's recursive, right? A component can have a hash map with components in it. So I was looking at how I solved this in C++, and the way I did it there was, how do I get back to that? It's here somewhere. It was in here, right? And then I go and I look at pairs next. Yeah. So the C++ equivalent, it's also called a component. And instead of a hash map, I just used I used a standard map, okay. But see how I have a shared pointer there? I'm not doing that in Rust, and maybe I need to do that. So maybe this needs to be an RC component. Because otherwise, I run into the problem that if you were to wrap this component in Lua, and then ask it for one of its children, like it can't share the component with another Lua wrapper because we have a lifetime problem. Like who owns it, right? If you at the top level component wrapped by Lua, you ask it for a child, it gives you another Lua value, and then you dispose of the original, poof, it's gone. Then what is this one? Is left hanging with what? Rust won't allow it, right? It's if it's a borrow, it can't be a borrow. So I think this has to be like a shared pointer, like an RC. So you could destroy the composite, but if you had a reference to one of the children, it would persist. Certificate issue still not fixed. Need to set up a VM for testing tomorrow. I don't know. I know you were reading my comments, and now since you rated me, I can maybe ask if you what you were thinking when you're reading them, because I couldn't tell if I was on the right track or not, because I missed some of the initial context. But what struck me was that the screenshot that showed the expired certificate authority, that was before, and then after it was the same end certificate but with a different chain. And I'm thinking maybe Windows is smart enough to say, well, this certificate authority is what is it? Expired. This certificate is expired for the certificate authority. Let's look and see if there's an update for it. And then maybe there's some way that it searches and it finds, oh, this certificate was also signed by this updated certificate authority. Windows lazily downloads updates. So the updates would be what? Updates to the certificate authority's certificates, right? But then how does it locate the new signature chain, right? Is it just that it tries to see, like, where would that certificate chain be stored? That's what I don't get. Yeah, I don't know. Magic. Lua code could hold the string key. Yeah, but the problem, the fundamental problem is if I have a Lua wrapper for the overall, like the root node, and then like I make another Lua value, which is one of the key children. In Lua, I'm allowed to drop my reference to the root. So I can't just have a straight Rust borrow of a keyed child, because what happens when you drop the root node? It goes poof, right? The whole structure goes poof. So I think I have to use shared references or shared pointers, which is an RC. The certain-based broken certificate chain is inside your installer. Okay. But somehow it like finds a newer certificate chain and replaces it with magic. I imagine that whatever it does it for this very reason, that you could have certificates that are valid, but signed by a certificate authority with a limited time, like it's going to expire. And if they didn't have some way to like automatically find a new certificate chain, then you'd have things constantly being invalidated by their certificate authorities expiring. But hold on. Aren't the certificate authorities certificates supposed to last like decades? And the idea is that every year or so you'd have to issue a new certificate, and then it's signed by a newer certificate authority. That's the weird thing. Anyway, I shouldn't talk about stuff I don't wholly understand myself. I think I do have to make this work in any kind of scripting language with loose object sharing. I need to make this RC, which is going to be a huge change to this. And I don't know if I have time tonight to do it. So maybe I do some of the other groundwork. So I have, not in here, I'm making this bridge library. And the way it works is it uses mlua, and it declares itself as a Lua module. So we provide a function marked with such an attribute. It will call that function when the module loads, and it expects to return a table. Oh, I guess the mac and cheese is ready. So we create the table and we set up our exports, and I had two like factory functions in here, parser and ingest. Actually, ingest wasn't ingest is not only a factory function, but it does all the parsing. So the idea, I have it all commented out, is that you give it a bunch of things. You give it a parser, you say which format that the parser knows about. You give it a bitstream object, you give it some callbacks.
Want me to bring you mac and cheese?
I'll come out and get it. optional arguments, and then we make a bitstream wrapper for it. We make a Rust combination of the component and its arguments. Make a new ingestion thing, let it borrow the parser's formats, set up the callbacks so that the Rust callbacks call the Lua callbacks. And then this is where all the magic happens. You tell the ingestion library to ingest the composite and it spits back out a data component. And then we have to wrap it back in Lua. And here's where like, it can't own it. We have to like, I'm going to have to do something like it has to put it into a RC new, at least, right? It doesn't need to go into a ref cell unless we need mutable access. So maybe it's just immutable. So we have to do something like that. But then all of the internal pointers in the composite will later need to be RCs as well. All of this one and this one have to be RCs also. Otherwise, we won't be able to wrap them. So the alternative would be that from the data composite, you could make queries about things that are in the children. You just couldn't get direct access to them. Maybe that's what I do for now. So from the wrapper for component, you can ask for its error, its format, its origin, its value, but you couldn't ask for its children. But maybe you could say, hey, I want a value, but here's a path into a child. Give me the value of that child or something like that. Maybe that's what I do to start with. Thought this is a data disintegrator, not data ingester. I have a terminology shift because I don't want to mix terms from the C++ implementation and the Rust implementation. And I have this lookup table here. So what I used to call formatting is now the parser. Decomposition is now ingestion. I never made a tool called disintegrate or disintegrator. For some reason, I chose the top level name to be different from the internal name of that part of the tool. And that allows me to keep calling it DataDisintegrator, even though internally all the names of the libraries and tools have changed. Path idea is what you meant when you said that Lua would have the string keys. Oh, I get it. Yeah. I already have... actually, that's a great segue. I can show anyone who hasn't seen it that this is working now. So you have your GIF file and you describe your GIF file, and now we can actually run the thing, and it spits out a line for every callback when a part is parsed. And these, I think, are what we could use to reference nodes that aren't at the root. So leaf nodes and intermediate nodes, right? See, I use this as a notation for the user who's running it to get an idea of where the component is in the structure, but we could use the same notation at the API level. There's a third place where I use this notation. That's internally we use it. How do I show that? I close that. Where do I? It's wherever there's a dot. Yeah. So we parse the image descriptor, and then we're allowed to reference the local color table flag inside the image descriptor, which is where, right here, this flag, right? We're allowed to reference it from the parent. So I can just make that notation apply it at the Lua wrapper level too. That might be a great solution. But I need to get my mac and cheese that my son made me. I'll be right back. It's starting to remind you of a Windows registry. Ah, don't remind me. The horror. The horror. You want in too, kitty? Okay. Did you guys hear the kitty? Cat wanted in too. I already ate the Halloween candy that I was allowed to today. I'm getting too fat. I can't eat candy. So my son made me this. The color filter makes this look really weird. Let me turn that off for a sec. Filter off. You can see the nice green screen behind me. Look at that. It's like the shells. Hope you guys don't mind if I munch away while I'm working. Okay. Ugh. Hate it when my eyes itch. The Santa Ana winds have really done a number on us with those of us who have allergies. Okay, I think I know what to do with the composition, but I still have a problem. I wanted to put the bitstream here, right? In order to do that, I needed to implement like this causes an error here, saying that we're not implementing from Lua. And I asked ChatGPT to solve that for me, and it spat this code out. And this is the key piece I think I need. I need to implement from Lua manually, but we can do a match against user data and then do a borrow of my type, which is fallible. And this will, I guess, check if the meta table matches. And then I don't need to clone it because really I just need to borrow it for the call. Your kids already ate half all the candy. So we started with 120 candy bars, and we fully expected all of them to be passed out, and our kids to come home with just as many. And I think my son did come back with a ton of candy, but we accidentally had our lights off for like a good hour or two, and we missed a lot of the kids. So we have a lot of extra candy now. Oh, and I know our neighborhood is very popular for trick-or-treaters because on the way home, I noticed that like there are a ton of cars parked everywhere. I'm like, it's like the entire block is having a block party. There's so many cars parked here. And then I realized, oh yeah, it's probably people from other neighborhoods that aren't as popular for trick-or-treating coming into our neighborhood. And that's why we see a lot of people we don't recognize coming to the door. I think my cat found a bug over in the corner. Okay, so I want to try this on our bitstream wrapper. So supposedly if I implement from Lua for the bitstream and tell this to implement missing members, and we do I think we should just do an let they did an else error, but I think, isn't it better to do a let equal else error and then oh, hello kitty. Do you want to say hi to chat? Come here. No, you don't want to say hi to chat? I think she wants me to let her out. Want to be let out? She casually saunters through the door. Do you guys put a bowl of candy outside? If you put a bowl of candy outside, then it'll be gone in 5 minutes because the kids are just waiting for an unattended bowl of candy, and then they just dump it all into. They go around the neighborhood with pillow sacks, right? Empty pillow cases, and they would just fill it with your entire bowl if you let them. You had 0 trick-or-treaters. Oh, that sucks. Half the fun is like seeing all the costumes. Smart children, yeah, just go around and like raid the place. So maybe I'll just do a traditional if let value, which will import from Lua user data equals value, else. And what did ChatGPT say to do on an error? From Lua conversion error. From Lua conversion error. Okay, cool. Those are slices. So what do I say for the from? Oh, you can say typing. See, this is why like ChatGPT is the bomb. So it's already given me everything I need, right? So value dot type name to, and I can just say bitstream message. That's not a bitstream. Okay, so okay. And then it was like u dot borrow like that, right? Oh, and it's fallible. Why did it put two owned? I want a type name. Okay, it wants a option standard string. Okay, and what's wrong with this one? Incompatible type. Oh, I don't want to do that kind of borrow. Borrow my type. That must come from a different, okay. Must come from a different, trait. Then, see, what does it say? It says any user data. So I guess I do have to specify the type here. Self. Okay, no, what am I doing wrong? It keeps saying cell ref. I don't know why. Oh, wait. It wants an owned value. So I have to be able to clone it. Okay. Okay. Fine. So I don't need to say that, but it does need to be clonable. So shoot. Well, we can, for now, because it's empty, derive clone. Clone exists for a num result. Oh, I have to borrow first and then clone. Is that right? Yes. Almost missed that question mark there. And it needs a type. I don't need that. Okay, getting there. We need to, apparently from Lua needs a declared lifetime, and we're not using Lua. Okay, cool. Well, that supposedly will work, and that should clear up the error I had at the lib level. Okay, cool. Then I get a reward of more mac and cheese. What about GitHub Copilot? I haven't tried that yet. Doesn't that just generate code for you? I know. It's turning into a food consumption stream. This is really weird because I hardly ever eat on camera. I think it's kind of gross. But I'm hungry. Plus I need time to think. It's like a distraction giving me time to think. Cooking stream win. You don't want to see me cook, do you? I only know how to cook a few things. I know how to cook a good omelet. Food for thought, yeah. What's wrong with parser? Oh yeah, this thing. We can't do that. Okay, so back to this. So the next thing we want is well, format's a string. That should be fine. But the other thing is the parser, and that is going to be a problem because that needs to be clonable. Actually, but that's just an RC, so that's easy to clone, right? We're keeping those for now. So I should be able to go to parser and just implement clone on it because it's already like, it's already hidden inside a cell and reference counted. Derive clone. It still doesn't like it. Oh, because I need the from Lua. So that was such a complicated one, and I'd rather just copy it. Parser. User data from Lua for parser. Import. Hey, errors went away. Cool. That was easy. Okay, so I'm learning now that all my Lua wrappers have to be clonable. So they're all going to have to be RC'd. So I'd either RC the components, the subcomponents that we get out of the ingestion, or we do the path trick. And then when we retrieve some part of a component, we always pass a path. And if the path is empty, I guess it refers to the composition as a whole. Okay, but I want to get the ingestion actually working, even if we can't see the result. So I can turn this back on now, right? We'll take the to-do and we'll put it at the end. Okay. And we can't do that yet. But I can do this, right? And it's not args format, it's just format. Oh, we don't have origin yet, dang it. So we can't do that yet. This is going to be a problem, right? We need to be able to borrow the formats. I'm going to have to solve this sooner or later. So the problem is that it's inside a ref cell. And that means that I can't just call this formats because that returns a borrow, and you can't do that with a ref cell. You can't do that with the ref cell. Actually, wait a minute. I think maybe you can, right? Hold on. Wasn't there like another thing you can do with ref cell? I need another R window. This one. No, not this one. I need one for the base. Why do I have two lollipop windows? I don't know. I got too many windows open. Oh, here we go. Ref cell. So borrow, the problem is it returns you a ref, right? But with that ref, can I just like borrow a reference out of that? I think the answer is no, because the whole point is that you can't do that, right? What is leak again? Oh, that is what I want. But it leaks it. It's not a good idea to do that. Right, that's the danger, is if it's mutably borrowed, now you're up shit creek, right? You can reference till you drop the borrow. Problem is I'm dropping the borrow. So maybe one way to do it would be we would return. Okay, so let me put the function back in that I removed. That's the problematic function. We'll just add it to our main implementation right here. It was if I need to be able to get back out of borrowed formats, that's hash map string to one of those, and then I do dang it, self dot formats dot or self dot zero dot borrow dot formats. It's going to say that cannot return a value referencing a temporary value. The temporary value is what we got from borrow. It's this ref, right? And we use that ref to call formats. So it turned that ref into another thing that's not a ref, right? So we borrowed the ref. We borrowed this. So, but that's a temporary. So maybe one solution would be that you get the ref out, and then with the ref, you can get the formats out of that. So maybe that's the solution here. You don't get a hash map, you get a ref of, and I don't know how this works. Is it like this? And that's what? Standard cell ref. And then you just do that. How does this work though? Expected, found. Oh, it's the wrong thing. Yeah, we don't get the hash map anymore. We get the parser. So it's like not format, it's like, let's just call it borrow. So I could do borrow, and then with the borrow, I can borrow the formats. So maybe that's one way to do this. So basically delegate to the caller that, hey, you can borrow from the parser that I'm wrapping, but then you can only use it as long as the lifetime of this ref. Maybe that would work. So then I can put this line back in. So it would be borrow formats, right? Actually, that works. So we get an ingestion, an API to the ingestion, right? And what if I just like do this, right? So we don't need to put it into a cell. We'll just put it into an RC. But we have to make something called data component that manages the reference to the main composition. And see if this works. Which shortcut do you use to show the return type? It's Control-Alt. So I'm not sure how that's changed, but it's in the settings. How do we see this? Preferences? This settings. In this UI, you go to inlay, and you look up text editor, I think. And then it'll say this. See where it says inlay hints are hidden by default and show when holding Control plus Alt. So you could also have it on all the time, or off all the time, or on unless you press Control Alt. This is a newer thing. It used to be that you could toggle them on and they'd stay on, and then toggle them off and they stay off. Now you have to either have them always on, always off, or off unless you press and hold Control Alt, or on unless you press and hold Control Alt. I don't like this as much, but I'm not complaining too much because I kind of I'm kind of getting used to the fact that I don't see the inlay hints unless I can hold down Control Alt and then I see them, and then when I release the keys, they vanish again. Control dot doesn't do anything for me. Command dot does the quick tips or whatever, the light bulb code actions. Okay, this thing needs this composite thing, which needs the origin thing. So I think I just have to bite the bullet and write all three wrappers at once. I can hold off on the, well, actually these don't need any wrappers, right? Yes, they do. They need those things. So let's hold off on those. Let's just get this to work. How does this work? Right, this bitstream handle is already an RC. So I think the idea here was we want to clone that. Oh, wait a minute. We don't need to clone it because... No, we do need to clone it. Because it's actually consumed. This origin is going to be put into... Oh, wait a minute. That's not going to work, is it? No, that should work. Depends how we implement bitstream. You like it more than always on? See it like you picked one of those other options? Hold on, I gotta stop and think. So this would be like parse ingestion bitstream handle. How come I don't see that here? Is that not exported? Wait, I never exported that from the API level? Or from the lib? I never did. Bitstream handle as bitstream handle. Okay, now it's exported. There it go. So this is an RC ref cell. So again, we'll have the problem because of the ref cell that we'll have to, like, if we want to get to the bitstream, actually we're not going to need to. But if we did, we would have to encapsulate the access to the ref cell, we'd have to like basically open up and say, you're going to get a cell ref if you ask for it. I wasn't talking to you. Siri thought I was talking to her. Oh, I don't think we need this anymore. This is ChatGPT helping me out. Okay, so why didn't it like this? Because why? Because I misspelled bitstream. Now it doesn't like it because it's private. Proper encapsulation or not? Ah, nah. Okay. It wants to borrow it. Oh, then we don't need to clone it because it's going to clone it internally. Okay, cool. So we can make the origin and we can package it with the component and then we can, okay, I'm not doing anything with the arguments. We should do something with the arguments, but I'm not doing anything with them yet. That's that table, right? Ingestion args. Making the ingestion of the formats, and okay, so the last thing is to make this data component. Because we should be able to actually compute this now, right? If this is data component. Then we get our RC component, and I just need to be able to make one. So we need to make this actually hold an AST, an RC of an AST data component. No, not AST, it's ingestion data component. And import that, and we should be able to, semicolon, almost, cannot mutate immutable ingestion. Well, now you can. Cool, except for this. Cannot initialize a tuple struct which contains private field. Okay, fine. And we have an error up here in borrow. Temporary value dropped while borrow. Okay, well, that's the same problem as before, right? We have to like let the parser ref equal that, and then do parser ref so that it remains alive for the rest of ingestion. Yeah, it works. Hey there, KC18. Fresh cut, looking good. You're the third person to notice. Because Mrs. Raimu cut my hair, and you noticed, you get a point. We'll say that only the top 3 people, only the first 3 people to say something get a point. So you're the third, so you're the last to get a point. So people don't need to bother saying fresh cut looking good anymore. Yeah, my hair was getting super long before. I am such a dad, yes. I give out free useless internet points. My bot keeps track of it, and that's about all we can do with it. You can gift them to each other if you really want to, but I don't know. I'd hold on to it because you never know. It might be the new Bitcoin 10 years from now. Oh, thank you. You'll keep your points? You have 1 point. Too late, the epic unknown, but thank you. So this will actually fail. This won't actually work because we can't even make one of these yet. Actually, what happens if we try? We have to actually manufacture one of these, right? We have no way to do that yet. Yeah, 715-209, I think you're 5th place or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but Sarian was extending his lead over you. I think he's got like 12 more points than you. I don't have a scoreboard command, but that's a great idea. Add a scoreboard command to a list the top point holders. Yes, you do. You do get a point. 15 points. Wow. Okay, from the top level, there needs to be a way to like make a bit stream from a file, right? I think the way we'll do it is that Lua will not do the IO. We'll pass in a path. So it would be like bitstream. Or we just do file. So this will be a Lua wrapper for a bitstream file. File.rs. So we got to do the same thing, right? Same thing we're doing with bitstream. We got to do with file. And then it'll need to be convertible. Hold on. Yeah, we'll need to be able to like, well, what if I just keep it, let's keep it simple for now. File, just have a new and not have this yet. And then what this will return is a bitstream. Okay, so but we have to do this. So the args will have to be like, let's just make it a path. So let path destructure it like a nice person. Oh, this one is import from the crate. And that's as Lua result. Should be consistent, and like if I use error, it should be Lua error. Okay, so we need a bitstream. So here's where I need to take an aside because I have the type I want in Rust is just in the wrong place. I want it to go in the ingestion library. Right now it's in the ingest. So I think we're just going to move it. We're going to move that over to source. Move it. So that it's just a module of the ingestion library. So mod bitstream file. And then we need to re-export it. And then this is crate bitstream. Oh, we got extra warnings. Must use. Right, because we turned on the extra harsh warnings, right? Panics. Panic ducks. Do that later. Okay. Casting U64 says may truncate. Yes, we allow that. More warnings. Castless lossing. We will allow. Is that the only warning here? We can't do it here? Why can't I do it here? That's an expression? Oh, that is an expression. Wait. That's an expression even though we did that? Weird. Weird. Possible truncation. I feel like I should just apply this to the whole function. Yeah, that will possibly truncate. We allow it. Yep, it's potentially not lossless. Okay, so now that being available, let's fix this one. It's just the import is wrong. There's no module anymore. Let's just delete that, and then it'll be need to import it again. Done. Okay, so then now the bridge can pull it out. So let bitstream equals ingestion bitstream file new file open, I think it is IO file open, standard IO file. I forget. Hey there, King. I'm doing well. You here from Strager's stream? I saw that you were having trouble with the certificate, but it got magically fixed. So, yeah, that was really weird. Okay, so where's file from again? It's standard FS file. Right. Okay. Maybe rather than like figuring this out, I should just copy from my main here. Right here, right? Let's just file open on wrap. That's not a big deal. It just needed to pick the correct crate here. It's interesting that it takes a string and not a path buff, right? Good thing path is already in there. See if we can do, I probably will need to map the error though, right? Or no? I guess it works. Cool. Oh, but this thing wants a handle, so I have to do the type erasure, don't I? This thing. This is some funky Rust magic right here. No semicolon. And that's dyn ingestion bitstream. Actually, can't I just say as bitstream handle? Why can't I do that? Non-primitive cast. Oh, because I gotta put this into an RC new ref cell new, all that good stuff. Now I can cast it. Cool. So we get the path from the argument from Lua. We open the file, which could fail, and that's cool if it does. It's cool that the Lua result actually catches that. If we can open the file, we package it into bitstream file, and then we package that into a ref cell, and then we package that into an RC, and then we erase the type, and then put it into our bitstream wrapper, which is a user data, over here. Can you check standard error DK chat log? He's currently banned from my channel. Who's standard error DK? Why is he banned? Let's see. Can I open that in a new window? I can. That's the wrong window. I got 2 unban requests. Let's see this. Standard error DK. Mod comments. Oh, standard error DK got banned because it fit the profile of a lurker bot. Yeah, because they never said anything in chat. Yeah, so what standard error DK did was nothing. They were just mistaken for a bot. But since they typed in, I guess, I don't know, is standard error DK a bot? Okay. It's an honest mistake. So one of the rules in my chat is I don't allow unauthorized bots. So if I see someone in chat before I even stream or at some odd hour and they're just sitting there and they've never said anything, then I assume that they're a lurker bot. And I ban them. So don't take it personally. I've also banned Commander Root and Lurks. There's only one lurker bot I haven't banned, and I haven't banned them because they follow the channel. I'm like, well, if they're gonna have their bot follow the channel, then the least I can do is not ban them. So sorry. You fit, unfortunately, you fit the profile of a lurker bot. Which I don't permit. Thank you for confirming you are not a bot. Now, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, and I'll assume you're not actually a bot. Okay, what's the other unbanned request I got? Knight Benedict. I'm not sure why I'm banned. I got the message that I was banned on my very first visit to the stream before I had ever watched you before, so maybe it was a Twitch glitch. Mod comment says, I can't see it for some reason. Break it out. Same thing. So, well, unban. Oh, I should probably go back and take the mod comment off, right? Unbanning the Caesars. I guess, sorry. Your account fit the profile of a lurker bot, which I don't permit. Thank you for confirming you are not a bot. All right. So where's the like mod actions there? Okay, I need to update some mod comments. Confirmed, well, benefit of the doubt that they are not actually a bot. Add, okay, and the other one too. Add. All right. Done with mod stuff. Yeah, probably if you joined in a raid and you went AFK and you were still in the chat like the next day, Because to minimize the chance of this happening, I wait until like some really weird hour that I haven't been streaming in like 10 hours, and I'm not planning to stream, and I don't usually stream, that I see just who's in the chat right now, and it's usually like Stream Elements and Commander Root and Lurks and like maybe two or three accounts that all have like a selfie of some woman, and I'm like, oh, that's the thing that bots do, so I just ban all of those. And yeah, you just probably got caught up in it just by lurking by accident. Not sure if there's a way of knowing someone's a bot these days. Yeah, so I just assume someone's a bot if they're still in my chat like 10 hours later. Um, like, but yeah, it could catch someone who's AFK and they left their computer on all night or something, I guess. Ban anyone who joins and tell them to fill out. So everyone's banned by default, and you have to satisfy Boner Pull's whims to be allowed in. I see. That's hardcore. You never turn off your desktop? Yeah, I guess I'm just used to like shutting down the browser at least. So I'm not actually in the last channel I was watching. Everyone is a bot. Actual humans on Twitch is a hoax. Prove that you are not a bot. That's hard to do these days, isn't it? I might be a bot. A very well done deep fake. All right. So Bitstream is really just a wrapper that we get to use out here. And actually this should work now, right? So I should be able to test this if Lua actually does it. So we're gonna open like a GIF file, lol.gif, and no, we can't open it. It's not IO open. It's bridge dot bitstream. Do I look a little different? It's too late to say that I got a haircut. And well, this is sort of, that's the wrong spot. So let me make this easier to read. That's the parser stuff. Here's the ingestion part, right? So I don't know, this is the raw GIF. And then GIF equals bridge dot ingest. And here's where I need all those arguments, right? I need the parser. I need the format, GIF. I need the bitstream, raw GIF. I need functions. Actually, I don't really need those right now, do I? What happens if I just pass nil for everything else? So just do that. We won't actually know if it worked unless I implement a callback on parse. Actually, we can just fill that in here, right? On parse, if I can spell it, equals function end. And what does the function get? This should be parse callback, shouldn't it? Oh, I called it part callback. But yeah, this stuff, right? Okay, for this to work, actually, I need borrowed data component. Or do I? I do, actually. Actually, this is going to be a problem. What if for now we just pass back... We just pass back the path. Found option. An AI in my place would be able to stream the MMO, yeah. Yeah, I'm working on the byte parser generator, but I'm making the Lua, I'm making a Lua module for it because I want to be able to write Lua scripts in a GUI that I'm planning to make, and I want those scripts to have access to do the parsing. So in the end, when I have a GUI, like my version of Wireshark, let's say, you'll be able to feed in Lua scripts, and those Lua scripts will know how to use the data that's parsed from the ingestion library. And so when you drop in a file and you drop in a format and then configure it in some settings, then it goes and like calls a script to do all the magic. And the script would populate the different fields depending on like it's basically post-processing the output. That's my idea. Part callback is, oh, it's a function. Right, there's no I guess we could say if it's actually a function. Yeah, what if I just make this a value? Use Lua value, right? This should be a value as well. And then we'd say if let mlua or value function part callback equals part callback. Then we can call it, right? Can't call on it. Can't satisfy the bindings. Oh, this should be like toString. Still can't? Type annotations needed. Eh? Why do I have to say that? Is it because it could return an error? We're not doing anything with the result anyway, right? I'm assuming this is why it... No, there's something still wrong. Can't infer the type of the return value. Consider specifying the type. But that's what I did. Do I have to say we don't need anything? Lifetime might not live long enough. Okay, there's some kind of lifetime going on here. There's Lua values in a table going in here. Why? We're only pulling in... Oh, well, hold on. No, that's borrowed temporarily. What's actually moving in? Hold on. Oh, it's this function that's going in. Okay, that won't work. There is a lifetime associated with the value. So how do I give a value to a Rust callback then? More food to think? I think so, yeah. So the problem is that that value that we get from Lua, like I guess it has a lifetime associated with it. Maybe, or it's something else. I'm almost out of shells. My goodness, it's 10 o'clock? I gotta get some sleep. I need to not be like falling asleep in the morning while I'm doing this. So if I comment it out, it's okay, right? So it's the fact that I'm making a call here. And it's the fact that this has to outlive static. The default for box is static, isn't it? Really, what I should have done, because this is formats, I should have just used that with the callback. I wonder if I could change that right here. Could I give that a lifetime and put that lifetime here, and then say that this is plus format, and do that. That goes there, right? Okay, yeah, the ingestion library doesn't like that. Why is that a problem? Temporary drop value while borrowed. Where's the borrow happening? Here? All because of storing it in here? Or is it because we might be calling that in ingest? So like, borrow might be used in the return value? I don't see how. Feeling a little bit uneasy? Yeah, sorry about that. Box is really just a pointer to something on the heap that's not null. When you see that box, this just means it's a pointer to something on the heap, and we have to do that because we need to like have a concrete type that is a pointer to some function that whose type we don't know at compile time. It's any type, basically it's some type that implements mutable function object. And we put a lifetime bound on it to say that we're not actually going to hold on to that pointer any longer than this lifetime. The whole point of this was so that I want it to be that the callback doesn't need to live longer than the ingestion object, because then I can make that closure and put it in there, and it's safe because we actually hold the Lua callback longer than the ingestion object. I'm trying to shorten the lifetime of the callback so it's shorter than the how long our ingestion library lives. Yeah, isn't unique to Rust. It's just a unique name to me. Well, it's the first time I've seen it. But why doesn't it think that? I don't get it. So can I do composite? Component again? Why does it think that it doesn't live long enough? It's dropped on line 63. Why is it still borrowed? Borrow might be used here on line 63 when API is dropped, runs a destructor for API binding. Cargo Clippy. This is somewhere else. Can I just have it look at ingest? Package. Or is it bin? I can't remember. See, it's looking at a different place than what I was looking at. That's what's... I wanted to give me the diagnostic for this specifically. What exactly am I moving? I'm not sure. It says that this doesn't live long enough because it's still being borrowed at the end here, but I don't see how that's possible. It does say I do have this lifetime in here, but it didn't. That wasn't a problem before. It should give me a data component which is owned. It doesn't have any borrows in it. I think it is this. This is the problem, though, right? It wants to hold on to a reference to self that lives as long as the object itself. But there wasn't a problem to that until I bounded these callbacks to that, which is weird. Okay, so I think I can solve it just by introducing another call lifetime and saying where function is formats is greater than call. Is that not how you do it? Is it like here? No, it's still, it doesn't like it. I really confused it somehow. I guess I'll just undo it. I don't know what maybe I mistyped something when I did that. Maybe it had to do with that. Yeah, I don't know. I messed it up. Comment that out for a second. Well, it's complaining about the destructor because it thinks that I might still, something might be borrowed from it. But I don't, the only other thing was that data component that we generate from it. Okay, so one thing at a time, right? What if I can't do one thing at a time, can I? I have to put some lifetime there. Well, really, we're holding on to it for no longer, no shorter. Actually, I guess it could be shorter. The formats could live longer. Actually, maybe that's the problem. So let's make a new lifetime called API. Let's say that formats can extend beyond the API. So some API lifetime. And we have API formats. And this is API. And this is API formats where formats is larger than API. Already got 6 errors. Because, yeah, I did this mistake the other time too. Context. Well, first things first. This is actually that API again, right? I'm not very good at lifetimes in Rust. It had two, but we don't really care about either one, right? Not there. Same thing here. Is that the same error repeated? Good. Because this one, I think, is easily solved. Good, 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 good. No, now we have 10. Where we had 0, now we have 10. Can you show that API implement again? You saw something fishy with the lifetime? This? So formats is our borrow of this format. Oh wait, it's our borrow of it. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe the API lifetime could live longer than formats. Oh, I spotted it before I read the message. See, I get these backwards, and I get this backwards sometimes. I need to stop and think. For how long does this need to last? No longer than our call to ingest, right? That's why I used formats here. So maybe I really only need one lifetime, and it's the same lifetime. The callback also needs to live for as long as that, because that's the lifetime of this borrow for ingest. Right, so that's that for now. Lifetime to the hash map needs to live longer than self. Well, or as long, right? So the API can't really, this is stupid, because like this is implying that the API could be a shorter lifetime, but it can't be shorter because there's a borrow inside, or there's a limited lifetime of that callback, which we own for the whole time. So let me go back to this. I hate to go back and forth. What if we just call it API? I used formats everywhere though, didn't I? Well, only 11 places. In fact, why don't we just search replace it? 2 files, replace. It is done. I just need to remove the redundant ones. That doesn't make sense. And then, yeah, these. I'll go down to that, and then, actually, let's search replace this. Okay, I did something. What did I do here? I thought all I did was I changed the name. Why does it have a problem with it now? It has to do with this, right? If I just remove this, then that problem goes away. I should be able to reason this out. So it's the limiting of this callback to the same lifetime as the ingest that's a problem somehow. it keeps complaining about this, but oh, I see. Can I do ingestion? Nothing wrong with the library itself. It's just how we're using it. Oh, this is in tests. Then I can do like Clippy tests. Test? Wait, what test targets do we have? I forget how to do it. Holding it wrong. Holding what wrong? So by default, the how long a box is valid for is static, and I thought this is the way you restrict it, and you say that um, the box doesn't live longer than API, or is this the opposite? Is this saying the box lives at least as long as the API does? And I've done this wrong. Then I've done it backwards again. Rust box lifetime. What does that mean? Either the iPhone or the lifetime? Okay. Let's make this bigger, because I think the answer might be here. A trait object represents a data with some unknown type. That is, the only thing known about that data is that it implements a trait A. Because the trait is not known, the compiler cannot determine a reason about the lifetime of the contained data, so it requires this information is explicitly stated in the trait object type. This is done via trait plus lifetime. The easiest route is to just use static. That is, completely disallow storing data that has become invalid due to scopes. Previously, before blah, 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 blah. The most flexible form is exposing lifetime externally. This allows S to store a trait object of any type that implements A, possibly with some restrictions on the scopes in which S is valid. i.e., for types for which X is less than static, the S will be trapped within some stacked frame. Yeah, that's what I want. That's exactly what I want. So I thought I was doing it right, saying I don't, I want to restrict the callback so that it doesn't have to live longer than the API call, than that API lifetime, which is the same, the form, which is the lifetime of this borrow, really. Oh, holding it wrong. I see. Holding the iPhone wrong because of your hand being on top of the antenna. So does it have something to do with this borrow? I'm wondering. Because that's where it's the call side of this, right? Where we're getting these errors. Actually, I don't even think it's getting into the bridge, but yeah, maybe. Yeah, see, we're having a problem there. And there. And there. All of these have problems. Except for here. Maybe it's because it thinks that this has to be a static lifetime. Is that the problem? Is if I remove the callback, it's not it. Well, this one doesn't have callbacks, so it has nothing to do with that callback, right? This is just saying it's dropped while being, it thinks it's still being borrowed. So we make a new one. Do I need to say like self API here? No, I can't say that. Self is that. What's really confusing me is that it broke when I changed this. When I added that and changed it and put that there. If I just remove that and I remove that and that and then this, magically all the errors are gone. So what is it about this? It's not this itself, because we're not even calling that. Yeah, so I tried that, it didn't work. So like that's one of the places, one of the call sites, like right here. I did the binding thing. Oh, the binding is that, right? Drop while still being borrowed. It's the lifetime of this borrow is built into this object now. I just don't get it because it forms a data component and nothing from the API is in here. Actually, that's not true. This has something in it. But that's a different object. Well, I'm out of my depth too. That's why I can't. I'm not finding the answer either. If Sarian was here, he'd save me. But yeah, I think I'm just getting stuck on this late at night. I'm thinking I need a shorter lifetime than API. That's the problem. What if I do a call lifetime where the API outlives the call? Then actually the problem moves to here. Okay, I think I'm getting somewhere with this. If it's a binding, there's something needed to satisfy the lifetime requirements. I don't think it has anything to do with the FFI because it's getting the problem in the ingestion library. It's not even getting to the Lua part yet. So it's something in how I'm constructing this type. How this type is constructed. It has some subtle interaction between this borrow and the lifetime of this box. Something I'm not quite getting. But here, now, maybe this is going to give me a clue. This lifetime may not live long enough. Consider adding a bound call outlives API, but that's backwards. This requirement occurs because of the type of the ref cell. Oh, wait. I forgot I did that. But hold on. Yeah, I actually put the API into a context. Yeah, I remember doing that. Is that the problem? That might be it. I extended that. Really, it doesn't. Those don't need to be the same lifetimes. Okay, maybe that has something to do with it. The context doesn't live that long. This borrow doesn't need to live that long because it's destroyed before we return. So it doesn't need to outlive call. So, okay. then what if I tweak this to be, there are actually 2 lifetimes on context. One and two, these lifetimes being separate. So this is, so let's make 2 lifetimes. So context, this is the context lifetime. And I think I declare it up here, right? The API outlives so I need to reverse these actually. Which outlives the context. You can say that, right? John talks about this in a video. It doesn't have to do with callbacks, but it has to explain how the lifetime behaves. I'll take the link and I'll give you a point. But I don't want to watch the video right now. I don't like watching videos while I'm streaming. But definitely put that in my notebook to watch later. Because maybe I watch that and I come back and I'm like, oh yeah, John totally schooled me on lifetimes, and now I know how to fix this. To do, watch later. I'll even remember that you told me it was spike pass. Okay, cool. Thank you. So this lifetime is bound is basically the lifetime that's captured in here. But I don't need to borrow it for as long as this. It's shorter. It only needs to be as borrowed as long as the context is alive for. Context API, right? What? Shadow's a name that's already in scope. Oh, yeah. Hold on. Why do I have a name there? Well, this is actually even shorter context. It's for the duration of that call, right? Okay, so back to this again. Let's search replace this again. Back to 2 lifetimes we go. Yay. Five occurrences done. Okay, explain this to me. Consider that the call outlives the API, but that's backwards. It's because the ref cell, okay, that's right. It's these arguments are wrong. So this is context. And the errors are all magically gone. Look at that. Back to 0 errors. Figured it out. That's all it was. It was that the longer API lifetime was infecting the context, which I still don't really understand why that wasn't a problem until I restricted the lifetime of the callback, but I guess it was somehow. Hey there, standard robot. It's going like a battle goes like. You have your ups and your downs. Russian doll problem. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, when you start breaking out the lifetimes in Rust, then you're really playing with fire, and I get burned a lot. So I have 2 different lifetimes now. One is the API level. So I'm calling it API because it's however long we need to borrow the formats in order to, because it's in our new, right? So however long we need to borrow the formats, that borrow gets stowed in our API object. So I say, well, that's the API lifetime, right? It's however long API needs to live. It needs to live at least as long as our borrow formats. Okay, that's one step. The second step is this context, and here's where it gets really kind of weird. I want to have the API put into a borrow of the API, put into a rseed ref cell, so that the context can call the callbacks, right? But I had API here before, but really we need to borrow the API for a much shorter lifetime than the API will exist for. And so I do that by saying we have two lifetimes, context and API, but API outlives context, right? So it establishes a hierarchy. API is a superset of context. Context is a smaller borrow lifetime. And that's important because I think this is why what happens here is when I follow all these references, what we use that for is to call the callbacks, right? We borrow it in order to call these callbacks. And as soon as I put a lifetime of API on that callback, that it has to the context has to live that long, but that leads to like a conflict between lifetimes that I don't completely understand. But I broke that conflict by explicitly saying that, and that this borrow is shorter than that. Which is actually, it's really just expressing like how long we need that borrow to last. It's for some lifetime that's no bigger than the API, but it can be shorter. That's what that means. Context can be a shorter lifetime than API. Yeah, okay. That's crazy. So back to the bridge then. Did that just work? I never saved this. I never saved it. Oh, in the callback, we just wanted to print the name, right? Print name. Do we have to, we don't have to print a new line, right? That's what I learned from this, that it actually printed the new line for me. So in the bridge, right? In this ingest, it just works. Oh, wait. The true test is will this work? And the answer is yes. Cool. What's the warning I get? Result that must be used. I can just ignore it, right? Or do I want to like log it or something? I guess we'll just ignore it. And we can't use the part yet because I don't have a wrapper suitable for using it. Cool. We don't use function yet. Hold on. I thought I did use function. Ah, that's the function, but it's hidden. I actually don't need to know its type. So I can delete that. Okay, so cargo build works again. Whew. Be nice if there's a circular reference checker, so to speak, for lifetime bounds violations. Yeah, I mean, it's complicated. It's already pretty complicated, and it's really hard to have an error message about lifetimes that makes sense to someone like me who's so like noobish. You know, I'm still very new, even though I've been working on this for years. I think it's just not taught very well, and it's also very complex and different. Their concepts of borrow lifetimes are foreign to anyone who's like spent a long time with C and C++, and you just use pointers and you just don't even think about it. Okay, do I just want to try this? So I have to go to the stage, and then I could just run Lua on this. Attempt to call nil value bit stream on line 7. I thought I exported that. Oh, it's just called ingest? Oh no, I have to actually make a bitstream constructor. Bitstream new. Forgot to do that. Is there no new? Oh, I never made one. Oh, hold on. I don't need that. It just takes the file name. So hold on. Then the Lua is wrong. I don't actually make a bitstream. I just take that, and that is the bitstream. That's just it. converting Lua stream to bit stream. Then where did I put the file stuff? The files, where did I put that somewhere? Did I not? The bitstream file in the, did I not write it in the bridge? Yeah, I put it. I think I just, where did I put it? Did I put it in ingest? Here it is. Oh, but it expects that I already wrapped it. Oh, crap. I thought I put that file, the bitstream file stuff. I must not have. Maybe I just, in my mind, I did it, and I didn't actually write it. Let me confirm that by, if I follow all the references to this type, we should see it, right? If I did it. No, we did it there. That's an ingest. What about here? Oh, here it is. I put it in file. Why did... Oh, I think the idea was there would be a function called file. Why did I do that? I guess because it's bitstream file. Okay, well then that answers it. I do have it here. I did write it. It wasn't just in my mind. I just, yeah, in fact it's right there and I was staring at it the whole time. So that's file, which makes sense. So we get a parser, we get a file. Okay, I already don't like that because it's ambiguous, right? Is it the format file or is it the data file? Let's call it bitstream file, because that's really is what it is. Bitstream file new. Okay. What's the, we didn't use hash map. Okay, fine. Close that. Run. Oh, I didn't do build. I used to do this too when I was working on my game, right? I would edit a bunch of C++ code, and then because I'm running Lua, I'm like, oh, I don't need to compile it. Like, yes, you do if the Lua calls into C++. Error converting Lua nil to table. Online, what? In ingest. Oh, okay, so I can't, I had table in there, I guess. Too many files. Too many files. Lib, right? Ingest. Okay, it's the yellow one. It's because I put table there. But a value can be a nil. And then don't forget to build. And then run it. Oh, it worked. It worked. It totally worked. So we're getting the names of all of the parts. And it's actually giving us the full path all the way. Right. So if I did that and I did word count, we get 52,980 callbacks. So we're getting the name out. So if now I wrote a wrapper for the component, then this is the hard part, right? Because I start with a borrow. How do I give a borrow to a Lua component? I don't think it's actually possible. I think I'm going to have to change my API to make this work. Because the API has this part callback, and we pass a slice and a borrow data component, right? How I can't wrap that in Lua. It's not possible, right? I know. We did it. We did it, Boner Pole. I love your name. Yeah, I think I need to change this. I have to change it somehow. So user data, right? Does it have a lifetime associated with it? This I really should work on tomorrow. I shouldn't stay up this late. I say that every night, don't I? Well, when you pipe it to WC, you get the line, word, and character count. So if I did L, it's just going to give me the first part of that, right? I'm just used to just getting all three of them. That's the line count, and that's the word count, and the character count. Or we could just do less, and then I can see it in all its glory here. So like I always was showing in the when I do an intro to the stream, it's like we're doing an in-order traversal of the data structure to parse it, right? So when we get to the data block, it's where things get interesting. We get the color table done, and it's like, oh, we're looking ahead. Oh, we found a application extension, and then we found a graphic control block. I think the graphic control block actually has the frame in it. Yeah, because all of these data blocks are just frames, right? So only the first data block was special, and it was application extension. Been a minute since you did WC without dash L. I'm just used to. I've never used an option with WC. I just piped to WC. Just different habits. Yeah. So do I change the? Do I sleep on this maybe? If I can't wrap that. Oh, the idea that Strager had was a valid one in that instead of actually passing back the data component, we just give the path. So like we're already doing, we get all these paths back and then have some way to pass that back in to inspect parts of the component. So we would use it like a handle. We'd use the string as a handle. The plus side is I don't need to borrow anything. Downside is that we have to do a path walk to find it for every little call. Logical stopping points are the enemy. Yeah, that's true, but it almost feels like a stopping point to have a problem, and then maybe I let my brain work on it while I'm asleep. The error callback's much nicer because that's an owned data value, and that's easy to wrap. I think these are even clonable. Yeah, so they're clonable. They're like really easy to support in Lua. It's the fact that I can't clone that because it has a lifetime. Or I can clone it, but it's got a limited lifetime, right? In fact, that's why I had to do that in the first place. Because these borrows can't extend beyond the lifetime of the parser of this API lifetime. Going to bed feeling like you're finished kills motivation. So you mean like motivation to do the next thing? I don't know. I guess I see it differently. I see like going to bed as thinking, I was stuck on a problem, so refreshing my brain and letting it work overnight, maybe in the morning the answer will come to me. I think in the end what I'll do, just to make it easier, is the component will just be, we'll give out an RC and then we'll have RCs for this. And then, because I can wrap an RC, because those are clonable. We don't need mutable access to it anyway, right? Think boner means going to bed not stuck on a problem. It's not just the next thing. I think I'm missing something, but that's because it's so late and my brain's not working correctly. So I find it easier to stop working and then start up again in the morning when like I've identified what it is that I can look forward to doing in the next session. So in the next session, what I'm looking forward to doing is being able to pass back a reference to a component to Lua, which means which means I will be working on making this a clonable thing. And since I don't want to clone the entire structure, I think we're going to break it into RCs. And so the ramifications of that in the ingestion library hopefully aren't too bad. And then I'll be able, like one cool goal would be we get the GIF file and now we can like say, well, what is GIF dot, let's run that again. This, because that is, come on, copy paste. In the terminal, it's like Control Shift C, which I don't have a shortcut for. Like I want to be able to say print that. Width is that. Even better would be if I can just say LSD equals, and it's LSD is logical screen descriptor. It's not what you thought I meant at first. I want to be able to do things like this when I script it. That from the composition, I should be able to get a reference to a sub part and then print it out so that in the end, what it's printing is the width and height of the GIF. You don't believe me, Nightshade, dude? Come on. I'm a dad, remember? Dads can't have any what you were thinking about LSD. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds? No, dads have to stay clean. Set good, be good role models. So I guess I can comment that out because this will be the goal, is I should be able to get back logical screen descriptor from that and then print it out. The other thing would be like, for now, what I could do is I could say if the name equals that, then give me the value. So if the callback gave me the value, that would be the next best thing. Actually, why don't I do that now? Because this won't take hardly long at all. We'll hide that, and instead we'll just expect a value, and we'll say print, we'll say if name equals, is it double equals in Lua? I don't remember. It's like then, right? Yeah, then. This I should already be able to do. It's just it's going to print nil nil, right? Don't want that print name. Is it single equal? Am I not get, did I, oh wait, I didn't, it's this whole string needs to go in there. Here and here. No. What? Oh wait, is comparing strings not double equal in Lua? Let's ask ChatGPT. How do I compare strings in Lua? This is equal equal. Alternately, you can do string compare function. You need more advanced capabilities. Yeah, it says I'm doing it right. Oh wait, hold on. I see the problem. It's only printing me parts. It's not printing me the values of composites. Why is that? Hold on, didn't this actually do it? Cargo run. Didn't this print out like the width and the height? Yeah. I should be getting that. Maybe the syntax is wrong. Hold on. It is. So I'm doing something weird in here. I'm doing some kind of error. Do I need to have like parentheses or something in Lua? I didn't think so, but maybe I do. I don't think that's it. Yeah, see, it's like erroring out or something. Yeah, and we're eating the errors too. I am doing it correctly, right? It's if something equals something else, then. Oh, value is probably nil, right? Hold on. Let's not print that. That's what it is. So if I comment that out, so you can't print nils. So then let's actually just fix that in the callback. So I need to put something else in here. String. And it's going to be, we'll take the parts value, convert it to a string, to string. There we go. Easy. What? Oh, I need to build. Again, that's like the third time I've forgotten to build. There we go. Now I got the width and the height of the GIF image. Good stopping point, right? So the improvements to make are have a wrapper for a data value, and then we could get not only the width and the height, but we can also say where in the file we found it. And actually have RCs here so that in the callback we would actually just give them a reference and not a borrow. So is it API, right? In here, I would do this instead. We give the callback an actual reference. Actually, I guess we would let them borrow a reference, and then we would clone the reference when we're actually in the about to call the Lua callback. Because the default, we can just borrow an existing reference. So I'm going to do that tomorrow, and I'm going to go to bed tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. Let's watch something different. Want to watch a pixel artist? My favorite Australian pixel artist, Mr. Adam C. Eunice. I hope you enjoy his stream. I watch his stream when I have the time because I like to think that someday I'll be able to draw pixel art myself, maybe by picking up a thing or two from him. Do I have a YouTube? Yes. Oops. See, I can't click on that without leaving the raid. But there. So now I got to start the raid again. Sorry. I upload all my VODs to YouTube, and I also have a few playlists like learning Rust and a few other videos you might like. But anyway, I'll be back in the morning. Until then, have a good day or a good night wherever you are. All right. Bye.